Yeah, it looks like a lot of people have a bunch of kids home.
Oh, that's right. Schools are canceled. Ours is still coming down. We got about 2 feet here in Massachusetts.
Holy cow.
Oh man.
Yeah. Do, do,
When you got to
do.
start measuring it in feet, that's when you know you're in trouble.
No kidding.
20 snowflakes on my car. That's all, Megan.
And I am in Alabama. So the fact that there's 20 snowflakes, that's a big deal. They had to cancel school for that.
That's funny. I just don't have the equipment to deal with the snow removal, I guess. But
I'll say coastal Washington's the same. Like any sort of snow just kind of shuts down our entire
yeah,
area of the state.
yeah, that's crazy. All right, why don't we get going? Thank you guys. I hope everyone had a great weekend um super excited for today's lineup. We're gonna lead it off with um just an incredible guy, Marine. His name is Scott Jensen. He is the CEO of the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. So Scott's organization's down in DC, and they represent, I think, about 30,000 veterans who have started their business, who have started small businesses. They help them with training, with advocacy in Washington, and they just enhance opportunities for this incredible group of vets who are trying to succeed with their own with their enterprises. Scott spent time a whole variety of jobs, and we'll get to hear about some of his background, but worked at the Small Business Association. He was the COO for Team Red, White, Blue, and just did a lot of really cool things. So today we're going to learn all about Scott, his organization, and then for those of you who have thoughts of maybe one day running your own business, he's the guy you want to know. So Scott, thanks again, buddy, for coming on.
Thanks, Jordy. It's great to be here with you all. And I'm surprised that what a great number of audience here, particularly with the weather and everything else. So
Yeah,
thanks for having me on board.
we appreciate it, man. Tell everyone a little bit about your military experience, what that was like, and when you
Yeah,
transitioned, what was that experience for you?
yeah. Thanks. So, hey everybody, I like Jordy said, I'm a retired Marine. Spent 27 years in the Marine Corps. Was a helicopter pilot. When I wasn't flying, I did time at Pentagon on the Joint Staff in the J8, and then quite a bit of time at the Marine Corps headquarters, either at the Pentagon or down in Quantico. The aircraft technician who just asked, I was a Huey pilot by trade. I commanded Marine aviation in Afghanistan and was a group commander and had all the helicopters on the East Coast at one point. So, kind of a broad spectrum of aviation there, but also broad spectrum of manpower reserve affairs, strategic and resource alignment with the chairman, that type of work. Had a great career, enjoyed it, every minute of it, and got to command at multiple levels, squadron group and wing level commands, quite a few combat tours. Made a transition, uh, like most of you all are making. I don't think it was as graceful as it could have been, which is part of the reason I'm always willing to talk with folks like this and legitimately willing to talk one on one with all of you as well, if you have an interest in that, just as a mentor. If I can help you learn lessons that I had to learn the hard way, the easy way, I that's part of my commitment to giving back. I jumped into the nonprofit space and focused in higher education and then into the veteran serving space. but but particularly my first couple of positions, I didn't really have a good foundation of my purpose, my why, what I really wanted to do. What drove me to success as a Marine wasn't as obvious when I started looking at what I wanted to do as a civilian. and it took me a little bit of time and energy and pain to figure that transition out. So as Jordy said, I jumped around from a couple places, learned a lot from each of those, but for the last 6 years, I've been stable operating here at the National Veteran Small Business Coalition. I have a small consulting one-man show that sometimes I do some consulting for nonprofits as well. But my main effort is with veteran small businesses. How does that apply to you all? If you're thinking about starting a small business, we're the right group to talk to. But if you're thinking about working for a small business too, we're doing more to get the Seven Eagle Group in front of our constituency. Jordy, I'm working on that ad in our newsletter and everything as well to try to get some of our 30,000 constituents who are always coming to me saying, how do I get access to qualified talent? When I'm sitting here talking to some of the most qualified special talent in the world. So, I'm offering you individually mentoring as a retired Marine colonel who's been through the school of hard knocks, school colors, black and blue, as a small business professional and expert, but also, hopefully being able to get opportunities for some of you maybe to work with some of the companies that we work with as well.
Yeah, that's great. We thank you so much for that, man. Scott's going to be the conduit to a lot of companies out there for you guys. The theme of your career is helping vets. Why did you decide to do that? Every job you've had, you're giving back to your brother and sisters. Like
Yeah.
what drove you to that decision?
Well, I go back to what I said a minute ago, Jordan. My first job was not focused on vets. I took a job in a nonprofit for higher education where I was only one of two veterans in the whole organization. And it was a big organization with a lot of people, well respected, over 100 years old. And I realized that I was a duck out of water, man. I was a unicorn. Nobody appreciated me. Nobody understood me. I realized how much I needed and relied on the relationship of the veteran and military family community and how important that was to me. And as soon as I had the opportunity to jump into veteran serving, I took it. Why? I think we all realize that when we get out, it's very frightening. It is frightening. And we don't like to admit that because we're tough military people, and particularly for a Marine colonel to admit that it's frightening. But it was frightening. It scared the hell out of me. And I'm not unique. Everybody has that same experience. And the veteran community supports one another in ways that nobody else does. And that's been my experience from the beginning. Veterans and military people are the people I want to hang out with. So I have not been let down by my experience. Part of my why, part of my purpose, I discovered was operating in a system that's supporting the tribe that I came from, and being able to interact with them, but also out of appreciation for what we bring to the table. Our resiliency, our mission focus, our collaboration. I've never, small business community is cutthroat. If I lose the opportunity, somebody else gets it. It could mean the difference between success and failure. Not in the veteran community. I've never met a group of small business owners who are more willing to create their own competition than in the veteran space. And that's, just an example of why I love working in the veteran and the military serving community.
I love it, man. Well, thank you for all that. That means a lot, I know, to me to have people like you in this space. Um, Talk a little bit about the coalition.
I didn't know that.
And
People.
or whoever that is, just mute. Talk a little bit about the coalition. Tell them more about the great work you do and how can they get involved. I know you have tons of free resources for people.
Yeah, thanks. So you mentioned it, Jordy. We focus on three things: training, engagement / networking, and then advocacy. We have a broad spectrum of training opportunities, both in person and virtual. We have a YouTube channel that hangs on our website with hundreds of hours of content for small business professionals. NVSBC focuses primarily on federal contracting, but we live in an ecosystem that can connect people to anybody who might be thinking about commercial or smaller business, Main Street type work as well. We have a consulting program. You can call in and get a consultation for free. Our YouTube channel's free if you're thinking about or struggling with small business issues. So, and then we have in-person events throughout the country. We're national. We have 9 hubs that we operate in, a big presence in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area, obviously, because that's where a lot of federal contractors reside. And so dinners, networking lunches, conferences. We have a finance symposium that kicks off at the end of February, a big conference in New Orleans in May. Those are more oriented, though, on an established company. If you're just thinking about establishing, don't think that I wouldn't want you to spend the resources to come to one of our events in that regard. Look at the free stuff that's hanging online if you're thinking about exploring and everything. But then the engagement, we're really well known for putting the right people in the right room to get opportunities for business, for employment, those types of things. We have close ties with federal agencies. We know what service providers are out there that you can trust with your business. We bring all the right people into the room, other small businesses, because so much of what you do is predicated on partnerships and working together and finding lanes where you can support one another and contracting, how to do that, how to go about doing that and making those opportunities. And then advocacy. We spend a lot of time with federal agencies, Congress, advocating for and educating on the needs of veteran small business. I have the pleasure of being well connected in the Congressional Small Business and VA committees. If they're contemplating issues, we're typically one of the first organizations, people that they reach out to talk to. Literally right before this call, I was on with the executive director of the VA small business programs, sharing opportunities and working together. So we really enjoy a great relationship across all those opportunities. The other thing probably relevant to this crowd is if you're thinking about exploring nonprofits, we have some space for you to maybe think about working with us, and Jordy can help you with that if you're interested. We have some opportunities to come in and learn from our COO or some of the team that's doing some work on logistics, how to run programs, how to run events. If you're thinking about what this is like, we do have some opportunities there as well.
I think that's awesome. Yeah. So if anyone is interested in getting some OJT with Scott and his org, make sure to let us know. You can reach out to him. Kylie put his LinkedIn on the chat there for you. But yeah, whether it's 10 hours a week or you want to do full time, if you're interested in getting involved in that nonprofit community, man, what better way than to work alongside someone like Scott, because it is a small organization, so you'll get so much value out of that. Or if you're interested in starting your own business, like I said, or working for a small business, if you have a question for him, please raise your hand so we can call on you. But I know Jared has a question for you, Scott.
Yeah.
Fire away, Jared.
Sorry, I didn't have my questions formulated.
You want me to come back to you?
Yeah, I'll come back to you. Sorry about that.
No worries, man. No worries. Put your thoughts together. We'll get back to you.
Gotcha.
Scott, can you talk a little bit about some of the the types of organizations that are in your coalition? Is it across the board? Do you focus on certain industries? Do you have any sort of favorite stories of some of these businesses that you've helped?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. We focus, by the nature of the concentration of small businesses, we have a lot of IT, cyber, technology type companies, and a lot of professional services type companies. only because that's the highest ratio of companies that do that kind of work, do contracting work. We have another concentration in the construction, engineering, and architecture, but that's a little bit smaller concentration. And then probably fourth would be product sales, and some manufacturing. But again, that's even smaller, and we're growing in those areas. So we're represented across about any agents, or any industry agency that you could imagine. We're trying to grow. The administration's really big on made in America and manufacturing in America, and so we're looking for opportunities to support homegrown manufacturing and those that are trying to do that. It's a tough area to get into as a small business. Manufacturing what? It's great to say manufacturing, but what do you manufacture? So we do have some concentration in that we're trying to build off of as well.
That's
It looks
great.
like you've got some other hands raised
Yeah.
here, so I'm going to
Sarah, go
pause.
ahead. Sarah Dorr.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I always have this issue. Sorry, everyone is literally teleworking in my house today. So I've got people all over the place if you hear background. So one thing that I found with a lot of nonprofits I'm in Greater Philadelphia. It's like I would love to talk to you on the side about the OJT. I know this is more one-on-one, but there's not a lot of opportunity here because the Travis Manion Foundation is like 10 minutes from me. So they have a lot of the opportunity that's in my area. Would we be able to talk about that? Are you local? Is it like opportunities that are mostly remote?
Yeah, we are 100% remote organization. So in fact, it's funny, I have about 9 full-time staff members, about 20 contractors and consultants, and then over 300 volunteers. We're nowhere near the size of somebody like Travis Manion. I'd love to be, and someday we will be. But and I love that organization. I have a lot of friends that are supporters there. But what we do is remote, so it doesn't matter where you are. In fact, none of my full-time staff members, there's not one of us that are in the same state. We're spread from Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Florida, to Virginia, to DC, and everywhere in between. My COO's in Ohio, so there's plenty of opportunity there. Interestingly for you, Sarah, we have one of our regional areas is in Philly, and we have quarterly engagements in the Philly area. But location doesn't matter to me. We'll get work out of anybody who wants to work with us, and we've been pretty successful at being able to do that. And actually, a couple of my one of our big contract supporters that I've worked with for years at this point, she and I met working on a project at St. Joseph's in Philly, and she lives up in the Philly area as well. So we got a lot of love for the Philly area.
Sounds great. I look forward to talking with you.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Sarah. Kylie.
Hey Scott, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us. I have a
You
couple
bet.
questions for you. My first was statistically, I know veteran-owned businesses, small businesses are a little bit more likely to succeed. I would why do you think that is, and a little bit of the math behind that. And then another thing is for someone on this call that might want to start a business, what's one system that you think they should 100% have in place before they think they're ready to start it up?
Wow. Great questions. The success part of me, I love veterans, so I think the maturity that comes, even though sometimes we as veterans wouldn't necessarily give ourselves credit for being mature compared to everybody else, quite frankly, we just come with the maturity and kind of the set of experiences that our peers can't compete with. Regardless of what you did. And I don't care if I'm talking about somebody who served a 4-year enlistment, got out, or someone who served 27 years and went to the Naval Academy and all that stuff. Oftentimes I get I wasn't an officer, or I didn't go to an academy, or I didn't get my MBA from Stanford, all that stuff. That's crap. I'm talking about every veteran that's out there, regardless of what your experience is. has a leg up. Resiliency, mission focus, no matter what you did in the service, you had experiences of hard time based on your experience. Okay, you might not have been in combat, but based on your role, you faced hard times, whether it was at boot camp or in your role or whatever it was, and you got through it. And you've learned how to endure through hard times while focused on a mission. And then I think the other thing that we come in with is our knowledge and understanding of the commitment of how important teams are and how working together you solve problems better than as an individual. And those are all characteristics that aren't typically found in the general populace that exists out there. So that's kind of how I attribute the success elements. Now, there's some elements that put us at risk of success as well. And one of those is not willing to ask for help. And quite frankly, a lack of understanding of what it means to successfully network. And thinking that networking is more of a transactional, I have to ask people for things, and not understanding that engaging with people and people that may not be like you or have your experiences, those types of things, it's absolutely critical to expand your world and meet people and learn from them. And that's what networking is about. It's engagement. And veterans aren't very good at that. And then the other thing veterans aren't good at is understanding business finances. And so being able to find opportunities to learn about finance and how to run a company and how to finance a company. So many times I run into veterans who think they need to mortgage their house, put their retirement at risk, those types of things to self-fund an organization because they say, I don't take debt. And that's in some regards, that's great. We've all been taught that, and that's but business is different. Business comes with risks and taking risks in a different way. And so financial education and understanding how to think about finances and where to get access to finances is probably the biggest hurdle I see in getting things started. You asked what systems to start a business. It depends on the business. So, if I want to be a barber on Main Street, USA in my hometown, that's a lot different than if I want to start a contracting business. But what I would say is, in any regards, there are a few basic things you have to do. You have to get registered. You have to start an LLC. All of those things are very easy to do. And quite honestly, not many of them require you paying somebody a lot of money to do it. So avoid the pariahs that challenge you for $2,000. I'll set up your company. You can get it done for 500. Quite frankly, you can get it started probably yourself with just a little bit of Google and AI research, and save yourself a lot of money. Any company needs to focus on, we call it the bail, bail, banking, accounting, insurance, and those types of things, and law, legal. That's the L in law. But small businesses, you start small, okay? You don't need to go to a big bank. You don't need to necessarily start with an accountant. I started my company with a QuickBooks account and some research on how to set things up. You can do a lot of it yourself, particularly if you're starting small. But if you're going to jump into federal contracting, that comes with some certification requirements, and so it kind of depends. And so the system I would recommend is know who to talk to. NVSBC, the Small Business Administration resources, Veteran Business Outreach Centers, small business development centers, organizations like the Institute for Veteran and Military Families up at Syracuse University, IVMF, all those types of programs to get you oriented get you down the path. And I would not invest in a lot of systems and programs until you kind of have a sense of where I should spend my first dollar and where I don't need to spend the first dollar. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that those absolutely answer my questions beautifully. I really like how you answered the first one. A lot of us, I feel like, tend to like downplay anything. We're like, oh, I was only in for this many years, or oh, I only went into the desert once, or I was never in combat. But I like that you highlighted how important every single one of these people's abilities is, whether we did any of that. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's critical.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you.
Kylie. Good question. Yeah, according to our math, Scott, about 15-20% of all transitioning vets have sort of dreams of maybe starting their own business. Like they have it in their on their it's on their radar that they want to do it. I love what you said about starting small. Like they don't need to go in and take on a lot of risk initially. Like test it out, see if you like it, maybe get a full-time job while you're doubling up. What are your thoughts on someone who has the goal to start a business one day? How should they go about that?
Yeah, you really have to ultimately to jump into it. You've really got to make a commitment to it, and you've got to have kind of a passion and a burn to want to get in there. It's not a high success rate. I mean, it's challenging to start your own business. It's very doable, and veterans are well positioned to go into that. But you do have to have yourself kind of resourced. Starting off in a with a job and then working towards that is one way to do that. But at some point, you're going to have to jump all the way in if you're going to be successful. But trying to figure out what that might be and what that might look like, I think going out and talking to
Yeah.
a network, looking on LinkedIn, who has started a business, outreach. Hey, I'm a Navy veteran. I'm a Marine veteran. I'm an Air Force. I'm thinking about starting a business. I noticed you've started a business. Could I spend 15 minutes picking your brain about what that was like? Ask questions and engage with people like that. I think is the critical element to get to the discernment level of if it's right for you and if it's something that you want to do. It's going to take some money and it's going to cost some money. So you have to be positioned in a point to where can I spend a little money to get this started, and then how much runway will I have before I get that first job, that first contract, and and start balancing what I can afford to what I will need to pay to what when I get my first dollar, and how much of that first dollar will go into my pocket, and how much will it go into the investment of the organization. And there's a lot of resources that can help with that discernment. I mentioned the SBA and the Veteran Business Outreach Centers. You can Google VBOC, Veteran Business Outreach Center. There's one. They're spread throughout the states. They're a really good resource to help someone discern whether they really want to think about going down the entrepreneurial path. And that's one of the places I would really start. In the TAP program, there's an entrepreneurial path that you can take. You have to volunteer for that. It's like the second and third day. You have to be willing to stick around. But if you're thinking about doing that, I would definitely jump into that track in the TAP program, and see what they have to say about it. And they'll typically connect you to the local resources, the VBOX and others as well.
Yeah, that's great. What's next for the coalition? What are some of the plans you have this year and in the coming years?
Well, we've got, we're strengthening our local regional events. We're also strengthening our we've established a body of knowledge that helps define what a small business professional needs to know and what they should do, and we're continuing to strengthen that structure. That's our syllabus. That's our Bible. That's what we operate off of. And we're kind of excited about moving forward in some type of a credentialing or certification process that helps a small business professional understand and know what they need to do. Think of the PMP for small businesses, right?
Yeah.
And helping in a credentialing environment as well. So that's where we're focused while we really strengthen and expand what we're doing right now. That's our focus for 2026.
I love it. So awesome, man. Thank you again, Scott, for everything you do for this community. It's so nice to know that there are people like you and your organization looking out for all the vets who are going down this path, and just appreciate you so much for sharing all this info with the crew here. And tell everyone where they can sort of learn more about the coalition, and are the events that you're doing, those regional events, are they going to be open to the public or are those closed events?
Everything we do is open. Anybody can attend. Now, we're a nonprofit. We can't host a dinner without being able to pay for it. So you're going to have to pay to attend. But anybody can attend. There's a discount for members. But our members are companies. They're companies that own, and anybody in the company then can get access to the discounts. So you'll see a discounted price for members. Probably for this crowd, there's probably not too many company representatives. But again, anybody can attend, but there is a fee that comes with that, and that's really just to pay for your dinner.
Cost.
So DC dinners, they're pretty pricey. I'll admit that. But up in Philly, not so much. It's $20-$30 to attend. So take a look. But there's plenty that's happening out there that's free as well.
Yeah.
So you can find all that on our website. When I started talking, I put my email and our website in the chat there. Thankfully, you see my LinkedIn. I would be extremely disappointed if I end this call and go to my LinkedIn and I don't have 20 or 30 requests to connect.
Yeah,
That's
come
what
on,
it's there
guys.
for. So, there's your challenge. Don't miss the chance to connect. I've got nearly 10,000 connections and opportunities. So entering my network is something that can help your network.
No doubt.
And there's a newsletter. If you're thinking about in a business or anything, jump on my newsletter. Little tidbits about how to think about managing and running a company, and there's a lot of content that flows through my page as well. And NVSBC, you'll be able to get to a link of NVSBC's LinkedIn page as well if you're interested there. So a really big community there.
Yeah, guys, lean on Scott, man. When you get people like that who are willing to help and want to assist you in your career journey, man, make an effort to reach out to them. Nick, before we let Scott go, Nick's got one more question. Go ahead, bud.
First, thanks for coming on, Scott. Really appreciate everything you're saying. I actually have like a bajillion business ideas. I've been trying to like grind at it and do it on my own. So I've definitely linked up with you. I didn't know if there was a better way to get on your calendar to kind of have like a more formal conversation other than just hitting you up through email or LinkedIn. Because the problem I'm having is I feel like I'm alone out there, like trying to figure out how to do this business thing by myself. And I got my wife and kids, and I'm like, well, and I have to have money coming in. So like, I guess I'll have to do this business part-time, but I want to jump in fully, but I think if I have like a community and I'm able to link up with you, I'll have probably a better.
Yeah. Nick,
outcome.
I'd like to tell you you're unique. There's nothing unique about you. Everything you just said is what we all feel like. I'm alone. I don't know the answers. It's almost too much information, not enough information. So who do I trust? Who do I go to? Where do I go to? You got to rely on folks. To answer your question, shoot me an email. I'll respond with a calendar link that will let you pick out a time on my calendar that's convenient to your calendar. And we can explore how the opportunities might persist. And that applies to all of you. You can do it through LinkedIn too. No closed doors, guys. Any way you reach out, you should be able to get to us. And then I might not be the answer, but we can certainly start with talking to me. And so Nick, don't hesitate to reach out, and I'll get you connected. Be patient. You can imagine what my schedule is like, so it might take us a little bit of time to connect, but I'm happy to do that. I'll be out of office this Thursday and Friday celebrating my wife's 60th birthday, and so you'll have to live with that. But
that's awesome. Well, hey, Scott, thank you again, man. This was terrific. We appreciate you so much. Happy birthday to your wife, and we will see you back here hopefully next month again.
Yep, I'm on the schedule. So we'll see you
Love
guys.
it.
Don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks, everybody.